What'd you get on your pants?
I don't know.
Give the people what they want.
Welcome. Sorry, Michael. For you and the fans. I forget our intro.
It's different every time.
Welcome, everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. What's up?
We're riffing!
What's up, everybody? I'm Joey.
I'm Jared.
And this is Riffing. What is Riffing, Jared?
Riffing is where we take a topic that either comes up on the socials, in the studio, or just kind of in the voiceosphere, and we kind of riff on it. We talk about it and see what conclusions we can draw.
Yeah, let's do it. Hold it, as is tradition. Sort it out here. Don't grab the tag. Here we go. What do I do if my student is just yelling?
Ask them why they're so angry. They just have a lot of emotions that they need to get out. First thing, what is this person actually asking? They're probably responding to somebody who's belting or doing some form of belt quality that just seems too hard. Or it seems like they aren't able to make any choices.
I think it can come down to a couple. The first has to do with the sound the student is making. The second has to do with the teacher's ears. Yelling might sound like they're trying to make a call sound and it's just a little untamed or not quite as coordinated as they want it to be. Or their ears aren't conditioned to the aesthetic. And I feel like the most frequent time we get this question is when you're perhaps dealing with someone who isn't sure they're like totally settled in loving what open belt sounds sound like at all. It's probably compounded by the fact that the majority of sounds they're hearing are by singers probably early in their journey who are making sounds that are probably less coordinated.
And we need to make those sounds in order to move forward.
The question is tough because the focus becomes a little student blamey, and it largely has to do with understanding what the desired aesthetic and coordination is, and then where the student is at on their journey. Sometimes when we're trying to make these sounds, it's going to be a little yelly.
It's a little yelly. In the same way that, like, for people who belting is the easy thing, them developing head voice sounds, it's airy and unfocused, and I call it a drunk owl. Whoo! That is head voice, you're not wrong.
So if we are to assume that all good singing is beautifully cultivated, speaking, yelling, or screaming, where like screaming is like a soprano high C, it is a beautifully cultivated scream. Yelling is more like our belt sounds, our call sounds, and then talking is just sort of our chest or head voice speaking on pitch in a vernacular way.
Moving through the range.
We're traversing physiologically what is closest to a yell. So a lot of times if someone's going to make those sounds efficiently, the first thing they have to do is give themselves permission to yell.
And in doing that, you have to give yourself permission to use that much effort. It's going to be an effortful sensation at first, and a lot of times there's a myth that like you shouldn't feel anything when you're singing. I don't know many activities that are like super well coordinated where somebody isn't actually like putting out a lot of effort.
I don't feel it, Vinny.
You watch a dancer doing a quad.
Yeah.
There's effort happening, but it's efficient effort.
Artistic, beautifully coordinated, takes a lot of control and energy underneath to make that happen and look as beautiful as it does. Same thing as with singing. So, if we are to answer our, what do I do if my student is just yelling? Your answer is to reframe your question, which is how do I get them coordinated more efficiently? Maybe a little bit of internal reflection that says, do I like the sound that's happening? Do I like these open call sounds at all? If you can identify a singer who makes those sounds that you really love.
Do I like the sound of Sutton Foster and Gimme Gimme?
Don't forget me, Romeo and Juliet, be fly.
Do I like the sound of Whitney Houston on I Will Always Love You? If you don't, you might have a hard time accepting the sound that your student is making.
Then you gotta learn to love them, or you gotta stop discouraging these types of sounds. If you do like those things, then you understand the destination where this needs to go, and being supportive to get these sounds to feel coordinated and efficient is one, permission to make the sounds, and two, slow guidance so these things start to become more and more efficient over time.
And balancing so that way, oh, this kiddo wants to work on belting. The entire lesson isn't going to be that. You're going to be continuously working the higher mode 2 function so that you can get some stretch on the vocal folds, and then we can borrow some of that ease, bringing it in.
Make sure that you're sort of balancing all around. We can tackle that if we get a question that's about more voice building.
Another riff session.
More riffing.
More riffing.
More riffing.
Let's hear a riff, Joey.
Yeah. Ready? It goes like this. All right, I feel good about that.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do
that
too. We'll
feels
see you
really
next
good.
month. White man all the way.
Oh, yeah.
All right.